So I'm so glad that every one of you guys are on this call. I feel like this is going to be so rich. I have wanted to do this call myself for my team for a very long time. First of all, my name is Jessica Lauder, and I am the founder of More Than Conquerors. And so I knew that this topic would be such an awesome topic for a lot of my team, but I wanted to invite so many other people to come because I felt like it's a topic that so many people want to know about. But the sad thing is, I don't know how to speak on it because I'm not a numbers person. Numbers is like the last thing on my list of strengths when it comes to this business. So I asked Lindsey, she's in our diamond group. I asked if she would be willing to share with us some knowledge because she's a woman, she's a numbers person. She understands what needs to be done in order for you to possibly quit your job if that's the position that you're in. Maybe today you're just like, I'm working this 9 to 5 and I hate it and I want Beachbody to be full-time for me. Or maybe you are a stay-at-home mom and you would love for your husband to be able to come home from his job or his 2 jobs or whatever the situation may be. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So I am so thankful, Lindsey, that you decided to do this call for us. She is a 3-star diamond coach. She's also a Success Club 5 All-Star. She's also a Beachbody Challenge winner. So if you have seen her transformation pics, she also won the Beachbody Challenge, the daily winner that they have. So when you submit your results, she was one of those winners. So if you don't follow her, you need to. So go to her and follow her because everything that she posts about is so rich. So I'm going to go ahead and let you take it away. So if you have a pen and a sheet of paper, please make sure you have that handy because this will be information that you're going to want to keep and pass on to your teammates for a very long time. So yay, Lindsey, go ahead.
Thank you so much for having me. So like she said, 3-star diamond. I've been a coach. Well, it's on my slides. I guess we can get to it. I've been a coach about 21 months. I'm underneath Ashley Brockington, if any of you know who that is. And of course, then under Shay, Brittany, and all of our fun Dynasty people. So I'm so thankful to be on this call. I am truly the numbers girl. And I have a few slides, but I think I might pop them up and then pull them away just because I really do have more that I feel like I'm just good at saying, but I know that our visual people like having things to look. That's the weirdest. Is that like your sign-on sound that people are doing? All right. Can you guys see my slides? We're good? Okay. So I was listening to John C. Maxwell this morning, and he actually quoted Trump, and I thought it was funny, and I just needed to include it, even though it's Donald Trump. So if you're going to be thinking anything, you might as well think big. So I love that quote. I don't love that it was Donald Trump, but it's so true. If we're going to be thinking about this business, if we're going to be doing it every day, if we're going to be transforming our lives, why not think big? Why not retire ourselves? Why not retire our husbands? So a little bit about me, since we'll want to get into that. I've been a coach for 21 months. I am a retired hairdresser of 7 years. I just quit my job back in January. That was a huge triumph for me, something I realized I wanted, but didn't really know when it was going to happen. And being a planner and a very safety and numbers person, I probably quit 6 months after I had to. I should have just quit sooner. And I'm hoping to learn that lesson and make it easier on all of you who want to quit your job and give you that confidence of you will know in your heart when it's time and to just jump because it is totally doable. And you don't have to plan as much as I plan, but it's good to know the logistics so that when you go to do it, you're set. I am a financial fitness achiever. I just got my little award today. That is cool. So for those of you who don't know, there are 3 different financial awards you can get as a Beachbody coach. And the first tier is no credit card debt. So that was a huge list, a goal on my list to accomplish before quitting my job. I didn't want to have extra bills on top of my normal ones. And so I was able to gain financial fitness achiever by getting all my credit cards off first before quitting my job. I also wanted to include that I'm a college dropout. I I feel like I'm so gifted, blessed to have this because it was something I would not have had otherwise. I went to school for musical theater, and I only went because my parents made me, and I took on that student loan debt for myself, and after a semester I realized I have $30,000 in debt and I'm going to be a poor actress. What am I doing in college? And so I dropped out and became a hairdresser just because that's what I felt I needed to do. Or it was like be a server the rest of my life or be a bank teller, and those just weren't jobs that I wanted to do. So to go from this career I built as a hairdresser into making more money as a coach when I felt like I didn't even finish college, I'm not worthy of a real income, is a huge accomplishment that I just can't even believe is really happening. I have a toddler, so again, I'm a mom and team leader rung, and I just threw that in there not to talk about really the things I've accomplished, but because I think that that's an important milestone for you all to be shooting for if you want to retire yourself, if you want to retire your husband, because that leadership ladder and elite and all these incentives that Beachbody make for us, they are not for nothing. I just have to say, with the more research that I've been doing, it all lines up so perfectly with the numbers they tell us, and it's astonishing how simple this business really is. The work is not hard. Doing it consistently is, and that is where you're going to make or break earning the income that you want to achieve this goal. So where to start? And I might need to minimize myself here. Each one of us will have a different path because we all have different backgrounds and financial needs. Take my advice as a roadmap. So number one thing, this topic, as I was preparing for it, I had a lot of things that I wanted to say, and I could break down the numbers for days because that is seriously what I just get lost in. But everyone's financial need is different. And if I just gave you a bunch of numbers, that might not be enough, or that might be too much, and it might be too big of a goal for your family and your needs. So I will mention real numbers a little bit, but I didn't want to dig too much into actual numbers and like all the written out steps because that's different for everybody. And if you want extra advice on that, I'm happy to mull it over with you because I do love breaking down the numbers and I've done some research on it. But it's just not that important what the number is. What's important is the how. So know your budget. Track and understand your actual financial need now. If you were to leave your job, if you were to retire your husband, and the things that might come up in the next 2 to 3 years, big things. If you're going to have a house, if you're going to be, I don't know if we have anyone who's older, if your kids are about to go to college and you're going to need financial aid or you're going to pay for their loans, if you need a new car in the next couple of years, anything that's going to be a line of credit, it's really crucial, the timing with our Beachbody income, because it doesn't show up on our taxes like a normal job. We have a little bit of a harder time there proving what we make, and it takes 2 years to legitimize our income. So you have to be thinking out 2 years ahead, and 2 years ahead of the income you want on paper with Beachbody. So this is not going to be quick. I know it's easy to see people like Brittany and Lindsey and even someone like Shay, they all feel close to home that they did it in a year or 2 years or a year and a half, but that is like superstar pace. It's amazing. That's awesome that they did it, but there are plenty of people in this business who do it much slower and are just as solid and end up making just as much and have just as many amazing things in their life. So don't worry about it happening so fast. Worry about being consistent and that you will eventually get there if that's what you really want. Set a plan for savings. Common advice, I don't know where I heard this, I feel like it's just the thing that people say, is that you should always have 6 months as a backup. If you guys are into Dave Ramsey, the first thing that he tells you when paying down your debt is get $1,000 in your bank account first. So 6 months of backup, whatever every single bill would cost you, you should have that times 6 in your bank account as padding. Safety. And that might be a huge number, and maybe you don't save all of that. But if we are going to go far end of as safe as possible with quitting our job and retiring our husband, then you want 6 months of bills, expenses in savings. Pay off debt. That was like my number one thing, was I knew I had credit cards that were just like stupid payments every single month. And that really made a big difference. You have a couple credit cards that you have to pay $25, $50, $100 minimum payments on every month. And there's a paycheck in Beachbody. There's all your cycle bonus money going right to paying off credit cards from things you already did. So for me, when I was planning to quit my job, I was living completely off my Beachbody money, and I was taking my job money and paying off all my debt and saving for a house. We haven't bought a house yet, but I wanted to save for a down payment, and I wanted to be credit card debt free before I quit my job, because those are my big goals in the next 1 to 2 years that I knew my finances with Beachbody wouldn't have caught up on paper yet. So I had to do that first. Get lean with your living expenses. So that will really cut it down too. But also it might be the time to sit down and say, do we need Netflix? And do we need Hulu? And do we need the fastest internet? Or do we need all these extra channels on cable? Do we need to do a Costco membership? Do we need whatever extra things? Really take a microscope to your finances and figure out what it is you can bare bones live off of, because the leaner you are, the faster you're going to be able to achieve these goals. And then when you're home full time, your income is going to compound and you can get them right back. But know that it's going to be worth that small sacrifice for the short term to long term have what you want. And set expectations with your family and spouse. What are these changes and what will they really mean? Will they be working the business with you, especially if your husband is coming home? Or are they going to be the household manager now because they're home and you need to work the business and the business isn't really something they can help with? That's cool too. Get the conversation open and be clear about it, but also leave room to reevaluate, because things will change as you progress and you're hitting your goals. Awesome. So, budget breakdown, things to consider. So maybe you've got your notepads and make a list of all your things that you can think of. So I am super diligent with my bills and I track like a fiend. My jobs have always fluctuated. I was a server and a hairdresser and a Beachbody coach, where every single week my paycheck's different. I have never had a salary or even an hourly job where I knew how much I was going to make. So I have always had to meticulously budget, write down every bill and write down when it's coming out, and write down when I'm getting paid and what is paying for what. And it has always been in and out with my bills because I never know. And I don't want to end up short just because one paycheck was really good and then I spent the extra and then the next paycheck was bad and I'm out of money. So getting meticulous, your rent, your mortgage, your utilities, internet, cable, electric, gas, water, garbage, your car payments, your student loans, insurances for your car, for your renting or home, your life insurance. If you don't have that, maybe you should get it. And your savings plans you want to consider as well. So these might be ones that are more as you're thinking to retire your husband. If you have a 401k with your job, or you're going to have an IRA, you have an HSA, health savings account, a college fund, a safety fund, so that 6 months padding. Social Security is something to now consider because it's going to come out of your end of year taxes, your Social Security, and maybe you have a teaching job or something that there's an extra benefit to that. These are costs you're going to now have to outweigh because you're going to pay for all those extras you get in a job out of your own income as a Beachbody coach. Also, you should be budgeting your groceries, your gas money, and anything that you're spending for fun things. So it's okay to spend on things and to say, I just need a Starbucks because I want it, but budget it. You should really think about every single thing you're spending your money on and set a budget and stick to it if this is really what you want to do. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see me. I just wanted to share my bill book and hopefully you can see it a little bit. So I write down every single thing that I have, every bill, and then underneath it, or next to it, I guess, because we get paid 4 times in a Beachbody month, I write down the breakdown. Hopefully you can see this a little bit. I can always take a picture later. So it's like my first paycheck, here's everything that comes out, and here's how much it costs. And here's everything that comes out, and here's how much it costs. So because we are 1099 income, and this year my only income is Beachbody, I am assuming that I am going to get fully taxed on my Beachbody income, and I'm saving for taxes. So this is something to consider with your income as you're planning. My safe thing, and I have a whole other call if you want the recording on taxes, is 25% of my income, whenever it comes in, goes right to savings because I'm assuming I'm getting that taken out at the end of the year for taxes. So when I'm doing my bills, and I'm putting out each month what it is I'm going to pay and which paycheck it's coming out of. What I am also doing and why I'm putting that total is I divide that by 3 and then I times it by 4 to get what I actually have to make at Beachbody so that I can cover that expense. Does that make sense to everybody? Cool.
Okay.
Yes, did someone have a question? Cool. So I am saying that basically what I need, I have to make an extra 25% more. So now I know exactly what I need, exactly what every single paycheck has to be. And let me tell you, there is some power in seeing every single week what my Beachbody paycheck has to be. Because now I know. Now I see it and I can watch my cycles and I can say, okay, my cycle is going to be about this much. I can tell from my week leg volume, I might cycle this many times. I'm $50 short. Guess what I'm going to be doing on a Wednesday night? I might already have SC, but I can see that my bills are not going to get paid. And so I'm talking to new people constantly. It just makes it easier to stay consistent when I know exactly the work every single week. And I'm not looking at 2 years down the road trying to bring my husband home. I'm looking at this week. What do I need to make to push my business forward? Every single week. So I highly recommend really scrutinizing your bills and budgeting this way, because this is your life now. And hopefully it'll get to a time where like every bill like gets paid by that first paycheck, right? Like that would be amazing. I think Brittany Leggett, I just think, oh man, if I had 1 week of her paycheck, I could pay everything, right? But this is the way to do it as you're growing your business. Trying to think if there's more. Oh, with that, I'm also tracking then in my business in my other calendar. So I have this other journal that I am putting my income from my first business center and my second business center, and I'm putting from my husband's business center, and I'm totaling everything. So I'm seeing really where's our money coming from, and I'm also tracking how much of that is coming from cycle bonuses, because that's my steady income. Retail can fluctuate. That's me. I can push that, but what I really want to make sure is growing and is there and is sustainable is that income that is coming from my cycle bonuses and my team growing. So I'm tracking that to make sure that's stable or growing to meet my income needs and that my business is moving forward. I think there's one other thing I track. That must be it. All right, let's get back to our slides here. Okay, so what might this mean for you? Again, I did not want to break it down to many numbers because we all have different needs, but the average American household income of a 25-year-old with a college degree is $62,036. That's $1,193 a week. That would be 6,700 volume on your weak leg and 13,400 on your strong leg weekly at Diamond Rank. So here's a cool little tidbit, guys. To earn $2,000 a week in cycle bonuses and to be eligible for that, because you know there's a cap at every single rank that we hit, you only have to be Diamond Rank. So it sounds amazing. We want to be 5-star, we want to be superstar, we want to be all these things, but I'm here to tell you that you do not have to push your income. Your income and your rank can grow totally differently. You could be a diamond coach and you could be living totally off of your income as a household, which is amazing. You can earn more than that, and surely the rank will follow if you are doing all of these things. But don't be discouraged if you feel like, I want this, I'm working, and like my people are dropping rank or they're just not getting there. If you are doing your part of adding and teaching your people to add, and they're adding, and then their people are adding, even if it doesn't turn into perfect solid rank, the income potential is still going to be there. Reality check. SC10 every single month. So assuming you are just selling your challenge packs and you're not signing up coaches is only $3,000 a year in income. It's vital that you're not only consistently hitting SC10, but in doing that, you are adding 3 to 4 coaches in a month. Those 3 to 4 coaches will add up to 72 or 96 coaches in 2 years. So I think Ashley's on this call. I did a little research in her downline because I know that my coach Ashley is making, has accomplished that already, where I have not accomplished that income yet. I've accomplished my own, but not that retire your husband or help your whole family income. So I was peeking in on her downline. And out of curiosity, I saw, okay, here's a coach I know makes this kind of money at least. And what does her downline look like? And I counted, and there are 90 coaches. it like was this aha light bulb moment of, oh my gosh, here's my coach who has been consistently adding 3 to 4 coaches every single month, has been working the business almost 2 years aside for me, and her paychecks are exactly what you would need at this income. She's 5-star, she's elite last year, she's all these other things, but this was just looking at her cycle income and like what you needed, and in one business center. So if you're doing this, if you're consistently hitting SC10, but also adding coaches when you're hitting SC10, in 2 years, you could have that national average income that is needed to retire yourself or retire your husband. Maybe that's all you need as a household income. I don't know. So to me, that was like, oh my gosh, if you haven't already figured out the secret sauce is just doing the vitals every single day. And really talking to people every single day about this opportunity. And as you're signing people up, you are really making them coaches. Because even if they're a discount coach, if you are plugging them into your team culture, that can change. And they can become a business builder. And even if not, that's padding for your rank. I will say for myself that I am a slower recruiter. I definitely don't have as many coaches underneath me as other people at my rank. But I have awesome people who are building their businesses and are solid versus having all this extra padding. And I used to think that was the way to go, to not have extra people. But now I've capped myself out in a sense that I'm on the verge of a next star and I don't have enough of my own coaches. So I have diamonds that are about to pop and I don't have enough coaches to support that rank. And that's my own fault. That's my own fault for thinking like I can have 2 coaches and get the same volume and it's fine. But if I had been adding 3 or 4, imagine what my income would be now. It really is just doing that little bit extra and being that extra diligent in your consistency that takes it from just an okay income to an amazing, substantial, retire yourself, retire your husband income. Sorry, the going back and forth is a little awkward. And track it. So here's just a list of things I think you should be tracking if this is really your goal. I think you should be looking at your cycle income. I think you should be following your week leg volume. So like I said at the beginning, hitting that leadership rung is where it's at. So leadership rung, I don't know why I get them all confused. Team leader, I think, is where I'm at, consistently hitting. That's that 5,000 on your week leg every month, 1,000 income, SC5, diamond coach or higher. Hitting that, that's enough for me to be home. And that is great. When you're hitting 5,000 and you're assuming that you're balancing that out, I think that's $900 a month is just coming from cycle bonuses. That's pretty cool to think that like knowing your week leg is 5,000, you're going to make $900 that month is pretty solid. If you're the next one where it's the 15,000, I think, that's where it gets closer to that. I should have written down this math. So I did it at one point, and I don't know why I didn't write it down. Maybe I have it in my notes. Okay, wait, here we go. 28,600 a month on your weak leg and 57,200 a month on your strong leg also lines up with those first numbers that I told you about getting that income of that $1,200 a week paycheck to earn the national average. So I thought, oh my God, that sounds like the scariest number. Like I remember when getting 1,000 on my week leg sounded scary and 5,000 on my week leg sounded scary. But the same thing, if you look at that next leadership ladder, then that takes you from average income, $20,000 to $30,000 a year, up to that $60,000 to $80,000 a year. And it triples everything. It's insane how easy it is to really get there if you're just being consistent. It will come, it will follow. So tracking your week leg volume, adding those 3 to 5 coaches. So you want to check that you're doing that. I love that we did an elite push group, and one of the categories we had to check every week was how many coaches did I actually add to the team this week? Tracking your success club. Are you hitting 10? Are you pushing beyond that? And are you making sure that it's coming from coaches? And I also check my monthly income averages. That was the one I missed. So in my notebook as well, I have my monthly income averages to make sure that that's still going up. So I track what my month is. After a quarter, I'll check what that average is. And then I also track my weekly averages after every single month. That way I can look and make sure that it's constantly growing. Or I can see when I'm going to plateau and I can evaluate. Did it plateau because something going on out of my control? Was it a season or a time? did it plateau because I wasn't consistent in my business? It's probably that one. Use your cycle income to really grow and hone in on your team growth. Climb the leadership ladder to team leader and beyond, and that's really going to get you to where you want. And getting your team to do it, because once you go to organization leader, you need 2 team leaders. And make 3 to 4 coaches non-negotiable. Using your monthly income to project growth and look for seasons of struggle. But hint, like I said, if you're consistent, there shouldn't be any. Last but not least, trust yourself when it feels like the time is right. My husband's making his shake. If you follow these steps and made a smart plan, you'll know when it's time. Don't be afraid to just go for it and commit to just making it work. You have to maybe get some skin in the game. If you can see, oh, I'm kind of averaging, but like I'd feel better if I was making like a couple hundred more, a couple thousand more, whatever it is. If you just say, oh, well, this is it now. I went full time. This is our life. We have to make this work. And you're tracking in these ways that are weekly and monthly and small, even daily things that you're tracking, it's never going to seem undoable or unreachable because you've broken it down into the simple behaviors that will get you there. Well, that's really, you guys have any questions or if there's anything Jessica would like to say? Anybody?
Yeah, you guys, do you have any questions? That was awesome.
Thank you. I had a call before this. I'm like losing my voice.
No, seriously, thank you. There's so much of that I didn't know. I loved that fact about if you only hit Success Club 10, you're only going to get $3,000 a year. And you do realize that until you have a team, until you grow a team, you are strictly working off commission. So you're basically a salesperson because what you make is strictly off of how hard only you work because you have no team helping. So if you think about it like that, that's like, oh man, And if you talk to, top coaches, 98% of their income is from their team. And they sometimes go a week without selling anything and they still get a humongous check. So that's something to really think about. So does anybody have questions?
That just reminded me something I wrote down, but then I ended up like not really working off of my notes here. Other things to consider when you're thinking about your income and like what your need is going to be is that remember your taxes, you're going to write things off as well. So your business fee, and assuming that by the time you're maybe looking to quit your job, I waited until I was 2-star. That was important to me to like, okay, I'm getting quarterly bonuses. I would have, matching bonuses as a diamond coach. I'd have 2 diamonds that are under me hitting SC. I'd be on my way to these bigger ranks. That was my milestone I wanted to hit. So think about then your business fee. You might have a business fee for 3 business centers. So that's tax write-off as well as Shakeology for 2 of those, you and your husband, or maybe you get 3 for all 3 business centers, even though you just need it in your first. So that right there is $3,000 of just basic business expense you're writing off. I think last year what happened was my income, maybe I had about $10,000 of it that I wrote off. So you might want to consider not writing things off if you have income goals. If you are going to buy a house, this is where I'll answer that in a second. If you have income goals where you're going to buy a house, that's where my husband and I are in. For me, it's like, okay, it has to average out over 2 years. Like if Beachbody's on your taxes for 2 years, they'll look at both years and they will divide it by 2 and that's your average income. So if your first year as a coach, you made $700 like I did, then the next year it's averaging against $700. So it looks like you don't make anything as a coach, even though, hey, I'm making more than I did as a hairdresser. So next year, now I'm averaging against a whole year's income and this year's income, and it's going to be a nice higher average, and it might actually be able to help us with a house or something like that. So if you have big goals like a house or things like that, it might be worth staying in your job another 6 months just to get through that approval and then switch over. So you have to push to a bigger income need so that you can get approved for the things you want. And it's on paper. but keeping in mind those tax write-offs. So like this year, I'll have to make that decision of, do I pay more on my taxes so that I can claim more income or look like I make more on paper? Or do I write off the things I'm allowed to write off, and then it'll take us longer to buy a house, essentially. I think I saw someone in the chat box say, wait, I think we can't write off our shake. So I'm going to give my 2 cents on this, because I do our taxes and I research this a lot. And people go to accountants, and I know accountants will say, some accountants will say no. The law is, if it is ordinary, common, and necessary, I don't know, I'm struggling with S's tonight, that it is part of your business, you can write it off. So to me, it is ordinary. Coaches use Shakeology to keep themselves active. It is necessary to earn my bonuses as a success club and to have active status. And it is usual, I guess ordinary and usual are the same. To me, absolutely. Everybody is doing it. Everyone has an account, and this is how they keep it open, and it's necessary to earn your success club bonuses. So you can absolutely write it off on your taxes. Could you write off every single thing you purchase? Probably not. Actually, the trickiest one that I think people do write off is clothing. And clothing is actually like a big no-no, unless you can only wear it for one specific thing. Or if it's wear and share, like your team logo, or it's Beachbody branded and that's advertising, then you can write it off. Cool. I feel like there's something else Jessica said that made me think of another, I don't know. I'll think of it later and post it somewhere.
So this is a question that one of my coaches had, and maybe you can answer it. When, or do you think it's a good idea to have a separate account for all of your Beachbody money?
Yeah, so it just depends how you do it. I have like way too many bank accounts because that's just how my mind works. But we have one bank account that are like our savings, that if we got in an accident or behind on bills or whatever, like that's movable. It's savings we don't want to touch, but if we needed to, we could. And then that's our debit account. We pay all our bills through there. That's where all our expenses come from. And then we have a whole other bank with a direct deposit normal account that my Beachbody gets paid into. And then I have a savings account there, and that's where my Beachbody stays. So during the year, when I'm taking that 25% off, it's in its own bank account, so I can make sure my totals are always there and I'm not touching it. And that's easy for me. I would rather have it all in one place and just see that balance number is there and set, versus it could all be in the other savings account. It doesn't matter. But for my peace of mind, I like to have it separate. And then what I did last year was, then when the year was over and our taxes were done, whatever was left went back to the other savings account. So I started the year with a zero balance in my Beachbody account. You don't have to, I just do.
Yeah, that's good. And that kind of keeps you organized for anybody who's not who's very unorganized like myself.
Yes.
Anything else that you can think of, you guys? This was awesome. Who's a numbers person on here? Who like gets what she's saying and is like, I'm with you. I know what you're talking about. Anybody?
I was like, no. Oh, there's some. I see a couple hands.
I'm so glad.
Good.
I have one question. Is that okay? Okay, so adding 3 to 4 coaches a month, that is business builders, not discount coaches who roll over from your challenge group?
Any coach.
Any coach.
Any coach.
Any coach.
Yep.
Okay, and then I know you said you're not a recruiter by nature, but do you do 5-day sneak peeks or webinars, or what have you found that works best for you?
I don't do any. So my upline has ones that are really good. They run every other week, and they're a 5-day sneak peek. In a rare occasion that I feel someone needs that, I will put them in there. It's great. I want to make my own. I don't have one. Typically, my coaches come from my challengers, and I really just invest in getting them into a challenge group. And then halfway through a challenge group, I'm asking them if they want to be a coach, or I'm signing them up as a discount and know that that's going to change. They're really going to be a business builder. So I don't really use it. That's better for duplication and bigger numbers, but I guess I've gone slower in my business, and I've been just really watching everyone's journey and just hitting them when I know the time is right.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So a little tip that I do is I'll write Because my goal every month is 5 coaches, and right now I'm just averaging about 3 coaches a month. But what I do is I have a whiteboard and I write, 1 through 5. Like I'll write the month. So I have January, February, March, and April on my board right now, and I need to write May. But and then I have 1 through 5 on there, and I go ahead and write the numbers because I'm assuming in my head that I'm going to hit 5 coaches. Like if you think you're only going to hit 1, you're only going to hit 1, or maybe not. But if your goal is 5, you may hit 5, but you may hit 4, and that's still good. So I assume I'm going to hit 5. And I just keep those numbers up there. And then whenever I have a coach, I just write their name down. And then another tip that I have that actually seemed to work a little bit, and you guys might be able to do this. I don't know how long all of you have been coaches, but I went back through my old all of my old challenge groups. I still had a lot of those groups up, and I wrote down every single name of all of my challenges that were in there. And I don't know if you guys have a system for this, but like I did not have a system in putting my old challengers into something. So I added a little like community group, but what I did was I went back through all of those people and I just messaged them about possibly coaching. And so this past 4 months that I've been doing that, I've had more coaches sign up on my team just from doing that, just from going back through than I ever have. So going back through old challengers and old customers, which you can find in your Coach Online office, your old customers, and maybe it'll like spark a memory like, oh yeah, she'd be a great coach. So those are 2 ways that you might be able to go back through if your goal is to really like 3 to 4 people and you're really trying hard to hit that every month. So I don't know. That was kind of like a little tip that I felt like has been helping at least me for the past few months. But does anybody else have anything that's worked for them or any other questions for Lindsey?
Well, anyone's thinking, just to build on that, and I kind of touched on it, but in case it wasn't super clear because I said it with numbers, break it down into the simplest thing. If earning 6 figures scares you, break it down. Okay, so then what's smaller than that? If hitting 5-star scares you, okay, what's smaller than that? If hitting diamond scares you, okay, break it down. So break it down into a week or a month or weeks and month goals and only focus on those and know that they're going to push you forward. And that's why the vitals work, and that's why the vitals are so important. It's because if you're doing those every day, it's all going to compound into those big goals. And maybe there's a little tweaks about them that you're more aggressive about signing people up as coaches or more aggressive about signing up as discounts or whatever it is, or you're more pouring into your team at certain points. But if you're doing that every day, it will get there. But if you know this is my big goal, and this is clear my big goal, this is exact how much I need to earn, this is what a week is going to look like when I get there, this is what my day is going to look like when I get there, this is what it's going to be like when my husband's home, but I'm not ready to think about that, that's too overwhelming. Today, I can do my vitals. I can make a tracker that's going to track my cycles. I can make a tracker that's going to track my team. I can make whatever it is that is just today's goals that are going to set me up for that. And I'm not going to think about that too much because that's going to bog me down. But I'm going to think about today. I'm going to think about it every single day because that's what gets you there. It's not having that. It's not anything different. It's doing it as little and consistently every single day.
Lindsey, I have a question about volume that maybe you can answer since you're a big numbers girl.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was under the understanding that personal volume is you and your customers.
Yes.
And your team volume is your coaches and their customers, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you had mentioned.
So it's not even like your coaches, it's anyone who falls below you.
It is anybody below you?
Yes.
Okay, so you had mentioned tracking your cycle bonuses. So there's not any, I guess, advantage or disadvantage to keeping them as a customer or signing them as a coach because it all goes into the same thing?
So so if they're signing up as a customer, that stays with you. You don't cycle on it. If they're signing up as a coach, then their recurrent orders end up under you and you cycle on it.
Okay.
So it's like, well, if they're a customer, you're getting that $32 commission. If they're a coach, you're getting that 90 PV towards a cycle, which is like $5 because it's 1/3 of a cycle essentially. So yes, it's less, but maybe because they're signed up as a discount coach, they're going to buy for 12 months, where if they were just a customer, they would have fallen off the wagon and done it for 2. So it's just kind of this balancing act of helping people and how consistently they're going to stick with it. And really too thinking about that, okay, when you place, and like our whole giving strategy of far and wide is that we are giving to our team. So if you're placing to your discount coaches under your team, they're going to start cycling and they're going to start building a team because they like how that feels. And so maybe you're not really earning that much from that one person you transferred over to a discount coach, but you're creating momentum because you built this team now and your team's excited and they're earning money now too. And if you're diamond, you're earning 10% off of whatever they're cycling. So that's another couple bucks in your pocket because you put that person underneath them. So kind of discount coaches are maybe not immediate financial gain, but it's that team momentum and that building that's really going to compound the income. It's a trade-off. Mm-hmm.
So your personal volume has nothing to do with team cycle bonus. That only is to keep you active or versus inactive.
Yep, your coach gets to cycle off that. And then when you have a second business center, you start placing everything under your second and you get to cycle off of it. So that's when your income really, it floods open. You start earning double basically. And if you have a husband that you're cycling with, you can earn like triple on every sale that you're making.
Okay. I had a new coach and she contacted Coach Relations and they told her that she wasn't cycling and they told her it was because her personally sponsored coaches weren't working the business. But that's not true. She would still get the discount coaches volume, right?
Yes, but like if it's not enough, it's not enough, if that makes sense. So like if they're just discount coaches and they're only having 90 PV every single month, it's just going to hit at different times. And so maybe over a month, she's only cycling once or twice. I would look at, in her case, I would check her carryover volume and make sure that there's not some imbalance. Because usually if someone's like not getting paid very frequently, there's one leg that's banking and there's one leg that's just every 100 it's filtering out and something's not balanced.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. To clear that up too, so the other thing that maybe she thought why your customers count is your ATV. So your cumulative team volume that helps you with elite points is you, your customers, your team, and their team. So it's 3 levels down. So your coaches and their coaches, and you and your customers, 3 levels. That's your ATV, which gives you elite points. Awesome. You might want to stop recording just for sake of content value, but we can keep chatting.